Welcome to today's event. My name is Megan O'Rourke, and I'm the Associate Director of Regional Programs for the Office of Alumni Relations at USD. I'm also a proud member of the class of 2015. We're happy to have you for today's University of San Diego Alumni Association event. It is the Alumni Business Spotlight featuring Turner Hoff, class of 2009, owner and co-founder of Vegetable and Butcher, a food delivery service located in Washington, D.C. During our time at home, the Alumni Association staff has pivoted to offering virtual events that allow alumni to log on to our events to learn something new, hear about the great things that their fellow alumni are doing in their community, and to have some fun. Today's a session where we get to highlight one of those awesome alumni-owned businesses outside of San Diego in an area where we have a Torero Club. What's a Torero Club, you ask? It's a community of alumni and current parents who remain active with USD through networking, social, and community service events across the country. To see if a Torero Club is in an area near you, please visit alumni.sandiego.edu and click the Communities tab. We will begin today's session with a Q&A between Turner and Washington, D.C. Torero Club President Matt Dolan, class of 1996, JD, and we will finish with some audience Q&A. So if you have any questions for Turner, feel free to go ahead and throw them in the chat. Alrighty, we'll get to it. Matt, welcome, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Megan. As Megan mentioned, I'm very excited to be able to interview Turner. Turner's a 2009 graduate of the University of San Diego. He started Vegetable and Butcher with his partner Ariane in 2016, and in its short history, it was recently chosen as DC's best meal delivery service. I counted 20 employees on the website, so he's definitely, he and his partner are definitely growing a successful business, and we'll learn a lot about how he's done that. Just as a kind of, I would say Turner, the reason why I wanted to interview him for you all is that he's kind of my hero. First of all, he had the courage to start his own business. More importantly, he's built his business consistent with his values and principles. And then if you peruse his website, his pictures of employees, there's pictures of all the employees, and there's pictures of with their families, or more importantly, with their pets. So I know he values, he's a good leader, and he's definitely no doubt values his employees and values them both as, with their families and their loved ones. So Turner, if you can kind of give me a brief history, give me your University of San Diego pedigree and what you majored in, and kind of your thoughts on USD.
Sure. Well, first, I appreciate the introduction and kind words. We do love our pets and team. I studied finance with a minor in real estate, which is exactly what you need to study to get into food.
And what was it about USD you feel set you up for success in starting your own business?
I mean, I'd say the college experience as a whole, the relationships, the connections that I built. I mean, it's just such an incredible atmosphere. And in fact, many of the folks who have helped contribute to what V&B has become today, some of them are actually working for V&B, but others have contributed in other capacities, whether it's as a mentor or an investor in the business, actually. So I mean, it's been a countless number of ways that USD's contributed to V&B.
Okay. I love your website, and one of the sentences which I'm going to read out, I want you to kind of give me the story behind. It sounds like this love story turned into a business. So your website says Vegetable meets Butcher, Vegan meets Paleo, Ariane meets Turner. So give me the how you met your life partner, and then how that evolved into a successful business.
Yeah, sure. So I moved to DC in 2013. after graduating from business school. And I was working in finance. So I studied finance in undergrad, graduated in 2009, as you had mentioned before, with a finance and real estate degree in 2009 was not exactly the best time to be searching for a job in finance or real estate. So I moved back to Houston, which is where I'm originally from, spent a couple of years there working for my dad. He ran a construction company at the time, spent a couple of years doing that, and then decided to go back to business school. And I applied to Rice University in Houston. It was, in fact, the only university that I applied to. It was where I was from. Loved the school, did that. And it was from there that I accepted a job out in DC working in finance. And Ariane at the time had a part-time job working at the first floor of a little retail shop of the building that I lived in when I first moved to DC. And we met that way. She was in school at the time and working two jobs. And yeah, I moved to a building that was 8 blocks from where I was working. And so I walked to work every single day, and we just crossed paths, and one thing led to another.
All right. So you see this woman that you fall in love with. How does that come into you both start a business together?
Yeah, so we're both sort of fitness, nutrition geeks, coming about it obviously from completely different perspectives, at least at the time. She had been vegan for 10 years back in 2013, 14. And the terrible joke we make is that I've been not vegan my whole life. And despite the fact that we've got what is typically perceived as completely contradictory, I mean, we don't really like to call them diets, but dietary beliefs or preferences or requirements. We both believed in the same underlying themes, and we shared the common ground of caring a lot about where our food comes from and how it was grown and raised and cultivated. And so at a sort of superficial level, you alluded to what V&B is about, and it's sort of vegan meets paleo or vegetable meets butcher. But at a deeper level, it's really about our underlying beliefs when it comes to food and our food philosophy, so to speak. And so B&B is about developing a lifestyle that can sustain you in the long term versus trying to adhere to some diet that is faddish or intended to be a 10 or 12 or 30-day cleanse. It's something that you hope to commit to and do so for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So that's kind of important. How is V&B different than a Blue Apron, a Purple Carrot? And I don't mean to put you kind of on the spot to be competitive with them, but tell me how it's different from even from a delivery and from a diet and from every aspect.
Sure. So when we were conceiving the concept for V&B, we had tried all of those services. And really what we were looking for was some solution that could help us build some time back into our lives. I was working 80 hours a week. Ariane was in school and had two jobs, and we enjoyed cooking together. But it was the only time that we had together. It was on Sunday. We went to the farmer's market. You can't get everything you need at the farmer's market. So we ended up at the grocery store thereafter. And then we'd come home and cook and clean. And that was what we were doing for the entire week, was this big meal prep on a Sunday. And it just wasn't working for us. We weren't getting to spend time with one another. And it felt more like a chore. And so we were looking for solutions. We tried Blue Apron, we tried HelloFresh, and those companies deliver ingredients rather than a fully prepared meal. And what we found was that there were two primary issues we had with those services generally, that called them the meal kit companies. One, the recipe always takes longer than they tell you. So the recipe card takes 30 minutes, and it would take us like an hour and a half. And then you feel bad and kind of wasteful because you're getting a cardboard box at least once a week, and everything is individually packaged in its own little cellophane packaging. And so it just didn't necessarily align with our values. And so then we had tried some fully prepared meal services where the meals come fully prepared, ready to eat, as our service does. But they were in plastic packaging. or they weren't supporting the types of farmers and purveyors that we would want to support or that we would purchase if it was us doing the grocery shopping. And I think probably the reality is we were naive enough to think that we could do it better than what others were doing. Um, so it was really our attempt to solve those two primary problems and do it in a way that was consistent with our values. And so the difference between a V&B and a Blue Apron or a Purple Carrot are, I would say, is primarily around the fact that the meals arrive fully prepared. So there's no
Yeah.
cooking or cleaning that's required on our platform. And so in our minds, Blue Apron fundamentally solves a different problem than the one that we're solving.
Yeah, and your service provides you, I mean, if I were to go all in, you could do a breakfast, lunch, and dinner with your service, right?
Yeah, you could do breakfast, lunch, and dinner for up to 6 days a week. You could order cold brew coffee from us. You could order dark chocolate. You could order functional beverages. We've partnered with, we don't make all of those products,
Yeah.
but we partner with local businesses who are exceptional at what they do. We found a cold brew maker that makes this Japanese style cold brew, a dark chocolatier who's got this globally recognized chocolate. He's based here in DC. He operates in the same kitchen where we operate. And so we've partnered with local businesses that and business owners who create exceptional products and are exceptionally good at what they do. And we've got a co-branded product that we sell on our platform, and it allows us to create a more holistic experience for our customers.
Yeah, and then with the two different kind of diets, you said you were more paleo, Ariane was more a vegetarian. Have you migrated closer to the vegetarian, or is she now paleo?
So she definitely does not eat meat.
Okay.
So she's still vegan, vegetarian. You know, I've never been just a voracious consumer of animal
Yeah.
protein. I would say, and you know, there was a time where I was probably pretty dogmatic about my food, and I think I've evolved in my perspective. And for me now, it's mostly just about, you know, whole food, plant-based with good quality, modest portions of animal
Yeah.
protein.
With regards to the local kind of buying local ingredients, how hard has that been? Because when I think of DC, you know, how hard is that to get local ingredients that are of your quality for your service?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the ingredient, right? So
Yeah.
avocados don't grow in this region, citrus doesn't grow in this region, and so there are certainly ingredients that come from other parts of the country.
Yeah.
We do focus on a seasonal menu, and to the extent that we can, source as much as we possibly can from within the region. And I wish I could take a lot of credit for that, but I can't. We've got an incredible culinary director who spent several years in buying and procurement, and he's got relationships with local farmers and purveyors. And so our grass-fed beef, for example, comes from Pennsylvania
Yeah.
or from Virginia. And there's so much that's grown within the region.
Okay. With regards to, and it is, I love the fact that everything's reusable with regards to your delivery service. Can you talk about how that is? You're exactly right. Some of the other services, the amount of trash you throw out from the delivery, talk about that a little bit, about how hard that's been, and is it a selling point to your customers?
Yes, it's definitely been hard. And I would say it is. I mean, when the two problems I mentioned earlier of recipes taking longer and also feeling wasteful with the box, I mean, we weren't the only two that experienced those problems. It was the most common complaints that we heard from others. So it's certainly an important part of what we do. And we've taken it one step further recently. So we now offer a composting service where we'll actually collect back the meal containers that our customers use. They'll rinse them out and they'll put them in a little compostable trash bag, and we'll pick those back up. And we partner with a local composting service that will compost those on our behalf. So um, I mean, it's evolved a lot in
Yeah.
5 years. In the beginning, Arian and I were making all of the deliveries, and uh, that certainly changed. Um, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah. That's a
it's an
perfect
important
lead
part.
into my next question. Talk about, so 2016 to 2020, talk to me about how the growth has gone, because it looks like you've really grown with 20, counted upwards of 20 employees on your website. Talk to me how that was, how it all evolved.
Yeah, I mean, we've been incredibly fortunate. DC's it's a good town for what we do. It's a young, ambitious, health-oriented, family-oriented audience, and we've been embraced by the local community since the beginning, and even have customers that are still on our platform who joined at the end of 2016 and early 2017, and we made our first delivery in October of 2016. So um, yeah, I mean, we've more than doubled every year we've been in business. We've had to change and adapt over the course of the couple of years, but and our website is behind. We have somewhere between 40 and 50 employees now, and another
Oh, I'm
40 or
sorry.
50, yeah, another 40 or 50 contractors who work with us in a delivery capacity.
Okay. So growth has been pretty good.
Mhm.
Good. Give me some of the biggest challenges you faced.
Where should I start? I mean, that's like, I think, um, I mean, literally what we do is solve challenges and problems on a daily basis. And I think uh, one of the things that's so exciting about what we do is that we get to wake up every day and face some new problem or challenge that we as a team get to think through. And the way that we've described it is it's like when you we've got a group of classmates and you're working on a school project and everything just you feel like you've got the dream team, the
Yeah.
perfect team to work on whatever particular class project is. That's what it feels like. We wake up every day. We've got an incredible group of people we're working with, and we're constantly solving problems. So one we're solving today that's sort of top of mind is we've outgrown our existing facility, and in particular cold storage space. So we don't have enough walk-in cooler space to house our finished product that is awaiting delivery. And so we're seeking solutions that can hold us over until we find a facility of our own.
And would you be interested in making that facility in Annapolis? And I'll so I can how has the pandemic impacted your business?
Yeah, so I'd say overall, at the end of the day, I would say we've probably been positively affected. At the beginning, that wasn't the case. We grew our business entirely through in-person experience-based events, and we built an entire model and team around the you can call it event-based marketing efforts or experience-based marketing efforts, where we had partnered with apartment communities, fitness centers, co-working spaces. I mean, we had relationships with all the major property management companies in the area, with the Soul Cycles, Orange Theories, Vita Fitnesses, the co-working spaces like WeWork and Spaces. And we were doing 20 to 30 of these events a week. And it was how we had grown and interacted with customers. It allowed us to do something that is incredibly challenging to do as an e-commerce business, which is build a sense of community. Um, People, when signing up for a weekly subscription, because we're a subscription service for food, it's a big ask to have someone sign up for a recurring subscription for something they've never tried. And so the in-person events were a way for us to overcome that challenge and interact and engage with the community. And so when quarantine was instituted, all of that came to a screeching halt, obviously. And so and in some cases, we were being paid to do a lot of those events. They had turned into catering events, and we were doing 20 to 30 of those a week. And so those all stopped, and we had a team of folks who were dedicated exclusively to that. And we reallocated them internally, and they started focusing on customer experience and interviewing our customers and reaching out to our customers to learn as much as we possibly could about them. Um, And while they were doing that, we were also transitioning to connecting with our customers digitally via social media. And so early on, it was a challenge, but within the food and beverage space, I mean, of course, we're incredibly grateful and fortunate um, to have been a business that had built expertise around delivery
Yeah.
and e-commerce.
Yeah. We have a question from the audience, and what's the one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is looking to start their own business?
Um, so I'd say a couple of things. Try as best as you can to entrench yourself within the community, the entrepreneurial community, especially if it's industry focused, and then find mentors. I am nothing more than a product of mentors. I've got a, a, an incredible group of people supporting us as a team and me as a founder and a business owner, and I rely so heavily on them. And V&B would not exist if it weren't for the relationships that we've built.
Can you give me an idea who you have as a mentor?
Gosh, it depends on what industry. So we've got. I mean, I spent my professional career prior to this in real estate, and so I've got a few folks that I used to work with um, who help on the real estate and finance side. Someone I went to business school with helps with general strategy. He works in consulting now. A really close friend and mentor runs an organization in DC called NetCedo. It's a peer-based advisory. He would call it a peer-based advisory group. I would probably call it therapy for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And he's become a friend and mentor. And oftentimes that work is focused on inner work for me personally, in addition to the strategic work as it pertains to the business. He helps keep my tendency toward imposter syndrome a little bit. He helps me keep that quelled.
Okay. With regards to some of the selections, I mean, everything is just wonderful on the website, and the photos are nice. What's your favorite or most highly sought after menu item? I mean, is there something that's been just immensely successful?
So for breakfasts, our overnight oats are incredibly popular. We've got this overnight oat base mix that we make, and then our culinary director and culinary manager have all different sorts of spins that they put on those. Um, there's this. It sounds like a strange mix, but it's one of my favorite dishes. It's this turnip and grape salad that like perfectly balances a little bit of bitterness with the sweetness from the grapes. And then for dinner, we've got a Korean vegetable bibimbap that's really popular. We've got a couple of dals that are really popular. Um, I had the three bean chili today for lunch, which is a dinner, but that one's really good.
Yeah. You talked about the high pace that both you and your partner had before starting the business. How has that been impacted now that you're working together?
Yeah, I mean, we've certainly had to learn how to establish boundaries over the past 5 years. I mean, at the beginning when we launched the business, we lived directly across from our kitchen, and we worked from our apartment, and so there was there was literally no separation between personal and professional. And so we've had to establish rules, and we're not always perfect at adhering to them. But one of them being like the minute you cross the door into our bedroom, you can't talk about work anymore. And we both break it on occasion, of course, but it's helped just keep the two a little bit separate. And then our skill sets are also different. And so even though we're at the office together, we don't interact all that much at the office, unless it's for a meeting or we're just like joking around as a team. We sit on opposite sides of the office. It is a big open floor plan. Um, but we're both focused on different things. I mean, she leads our customer experience team, um, and I'm focused on any number of other projects.
Yeah. Would you say you're the COO or CEO? How does it work?
Sure. So we're both co-founders. I'm the CEO and she's our CXO, our Chief Experience Officer. And so she
Okay.
leads our customer success team and our customer support team.
Yeah. Talk about that because I thought that was very interesting about your business. When I signed up for it and we had those two big snowstorms, so I had a bunch of issues of trying to, and because you're not delivering out to, I've lived way out in the woods. I was planning on coming in, but the point being, I thought, I got emails, I got phone calls from your customer experience team, and they were reaching out to me. They were very proactive
Mhm.
on kind of reaching out to me to make sure that I had what I needed to, navigate how to get them delivered and, or, where to pick them up and all that. Tell me your philosophy on that and how much of that has been, contributing to your growth and success.
Yeah, I mean, the customer support and experience is undoubtedly one of the largest contributors to our success. If you were to go read reviews about us online, I'd say probably half, if not more, talk about our customer service. And so that's definitely a big part of what we do. And 40% of our office team, 30% of our office team is dedicated exclusively to that, whether it's on the success side of things and being proactive or on the support side of things and being a little bit more reactive. But Ariane would talk about it as the two, the proactive and the reactive, trying to create a really interactive and personalized experience for customers. So it's a huge, huge part of what we do. And it's also informed a lot of what we do from a strategic perspective.
Yeah. How hard has it been to kind of stick to those key principles? Because I know, as you start getting into growth and you start, you're going to continue to grow this company. How hard has it been to kind of your core principles and your original vision of the company? How hard has that been to stick to those values and principles?
Yeah, I mean, we knew early on that there were some non-negotiables for us, and those are really easy to adhere to. But what I'd say has been an interesting learning experience for us is that our values as a company have evolved a lot based on the people that join our team. And uh, for me, and I know for Ariane, like we've learned so much about ourselves and about our business as a result of having a group of people who, share similar but also different values, and that helps shape the culture for us as a company. And so there are certainly core principles that we adhere to and just are militant about. And then there are others that we're open to having be evolved and shaped by the people who join the company.
Yeah. With regards to you and Ariane, who is the brains and the vision in between the two of you? And just to give you a hint, that's a softball question.
So it's 1,000% her.
Yeah, good answer.
I would say I describe myself as a V2 person. So all the creativity, really the good ideas come from her. She's the V1 person and she hands them to me and then I will do my best to refine from there. So yeah, undoubtedly creativity is on the other side.
That's great. Now, with regards to your relationship, do you feel like your relationship has improved with Ariane through this whole process? I mean,
Yeah,
and let me
yeah.
know if I'm getting too personal.
No. I mean, ask away. Absolutely. Um, it's tough. I mean, it's been hard on our relationship at times, and we've had to learn. I mean, a mentor of ours actually. He's a friend, and so when he's also an investor. He's our lead investor in the business, and he'll offer advice that will be contradictory at times. And he'll say, "Okay, Turn, I'm going to put on my friend hat," and then he'll tell me one thing. And they'll say, "Okay, I'm going to put on my investor hat," and then he'll tell me like the exact opposite perspective. And so Ariane and I have adopted that as a habit, and we do it in our relationship. And it's okay, I'm putting on my romantic partner hat, I'm putting on my business partner hat. And it allows for a freedom of conversation and you to communicate from a different perspective, that is just so valuable. One of the things I would say we probably learned this year, end of last year, like building a team feels in a lot of ways like a relationship. Like the two most important parts of building a team are trust and communication. And it's the same in a relationship. And so we've learned that about ourselves, and we know that we need to be able to trust each other implicitly and to communicate even the things that are difficult to communicate and that we don't want to communicate, and making that a part of our culture has been an important part of the sort of familial aspect of our team.
And that's a good, when I look at your website, I see that you all have kind of demonstrated very positive leadership, and it's kind of like a family. And I know, having conversations with you, I kind of sense that same thing. Talk about your leadership and management style and how you've tried to structure that within the company, so that I would imagine your goal is kind of retention and making sure people are valued and appreciated within VNB. So kind of talk about your leadership and management style.
Yeah, I would say for me, I mean, I know I don't have all the answers. And so being comfortable with that level of, I mean, I sort of jokingly alluded to having imposter syndrome earlier. I mean, that definitely comes up. And I'm not afraid to admit that to people on the team because I don't have all the answers. And uh, I think what it's helped foster is a culture of curiosity and it being okay that you don't have the answers. And so, from a leadership perspective, I I hate to micromanage. I do my best to coach to the extent that I can be helpful, and I try to ask really thoughtful and provocative questions, even in situations where I don't have the answer. And if I don't, then I'll seek the answer through reading on my own or through connecting with one of my mentors, and our team does the same thing.
Yeah. Now, what's your vision for VNB for the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. We definitely don't want to lose the community oriented aspect of what we do. With that being said, I mean, we have a vision to continue to grow the business. We're laser focused on the DMV area. We've got some operational challenges and constraints that we're trying to alleviate at the moment. Um, but we do see ourselves potentially expanding to another geography at some point in the future. If we do that, we would want to make sure that that new geography has its own unique experience, whether it's via the menu or partnerships with like a local cold brew maker in Boston, for example. We wouldn't want to use the DC-based cold brew maker in a new market. So um, not all of that has been fully clarified yet in terms of logistically or operationally how that gets done. We still see so much opportunity in the DMV area, and so we're trying our best to remain laser focused on that,
Yeah.
while also recognizing that there's opportunity elsewhere.
And right now you're focused on DC mainly, and deliveries goes outside of DC, or how does that work?
It does, yeah. So that's one of the things that we've been really diligent about is expanding our delivery radius. So when we started, we delivered to just 2 zip codes, and they were within DC. And we're now servicing about 150 all throughout the DMV area. So in Maryland, we go up to about Gaithersburg. On the Virginia side, we go to Tysons, Reston, Falls Church, Alexandria, Arlington. And then on the eastern side of Maryland, we do Silver Spring and some of the other areas out there. Tacoma Park, Hyattsville.
The San Diego crew's asking if you would deliver to Cortez Hill in San Diego. I guess that's a no.
Not yet. You know, my brother lives out in San Diego still, so he's begging us to do the same.
If you looking back on it all, what are the two? I was going to ask you for a list of five, but let's. What are your two big do-overs? If you could do, you know, you could looking back on it, if you could have two do-overs, what would they be?
Man, I'm gonna end up not giving you an answer. You probably wanting here.
I don't.
I I I really don't have any, and it's not because we haven't made mistakes. We've made thousands. Um, I have this sort of general philosophy that, like, to the extent that you've got the openness and the mindset and the willingness to just show up and do the work, that you'll kind of know what you need to know when you need to know it. And so, yeah, of course, it would be nice to have um, learned um, certain things that would have prevented a mistake. But I mean, that's part of the experience, and it's part of what we do on a daily basis. So
Yeah.
there's nothing really that I would request as a do-over. I think that's just part of what we do.
That actually is a perfect answer, simply because I think a lot of people, you have to live with no regrets, right? And it was all a path and it was a journey for you. It doesn't mean that, you know, you can't look back and want to change any of it, because you've gotten to where you are because of that path, all the mistakes and all the successes.
Yeah, and it's been it's been an incredibly circuitous path.
Yeah.
There's not one moment or one experience that led us to where we are. I think it's been more about the mindset that we've had over the years.
Yeah. You mentioned in a previous conversation that you actually do have a USD grad working at VNB. Can you talk about how that came about, and then talk about if you're, Megan asked, are you hiring any more employees?
So yes, we are hiring for a couple of different positions. We're hiring for a customer experience team. We're looking for an operations related role. Um, Almost perpetually hiring for the culinary team and the delivery team. But yeah, we do have a USD grad who also graduated in the class that I graduated in 2009. And we reconnected. We weren't like close friends, but we were acquaintances at USD, and we knew one another, and we sort of ran in similar friend groups. And she went to dental school at Johns Hopkins and was a pediatric dentist. And she has a 3.5-year-old son, and I think she was getting burned out in dentistry and wanted to spend more time at home with her son. And uh, she reached out to me on Instagram, and it wasn't under any pretense or looking for a job necessarily. It was just, hey, I didn't realize you were in DC. We should grab coffee. And so we grabbed coffee back in 2018. And one thing led to another, and she joined the team, and she's been an absolute rock star.
Great. Any last minute thoughts before I open it up to everybody's questions?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, sorry. Eddie, yeah, is there any questions I've missed that you wanted to talk about? If you were promoting V&B, what would you say?
Oh, I don't need to go read. Yeah, read. You get, if you read the reviews
All
about
right.
us, we'll do more promotion than I would feel comfortable doing.
All right. I'll ask you this question as a closer then. The golf clubs and the surf, are you going to get back to the golf clubs and the surfboard when this is a complete success and you can kind of retire on a deserted island?
I don't know that retire is something I'm capable of doing. I don't think anyone in my family ever has been able to manage that one. But yeah, I mean, I would love to get back in the water. So I bought that surfboard before I moved to DC. After I graduated from business school, I took a trip down in Peru, and I just sort of wandered the country on my own for a couple of weeks. And I bought that surfboard in Peru, and I loved it so much that I brought it back to DC with me. But sadly haven't used it since it's been here. It doesn't even have fins on it. It just sits in the room as more of a decoration
good
than anything
decoration.
else. Yeah.
Let me ask you one, as a parent, how have your parents or Ariane's parents, are they nervous wrecks that you kind of went off on this journey to start your own business? A little bit riskier than, going to work for Deloitte or for KPMG or some other kind of more solid, more secure job. How have your parents kind of reacted and supported you?
1,000% in support. Yeah, they've been incredible. And I mean, in the realm of friends and mentors, I mean, my family's a big part of that too, undoubtedly. I call them on a regular basis and connect with them. And I think it helps that, my dad's an entrepreneur. My dad's dad was an entrepreneur. My dad's brothers were business
Cool.
owners and entrepreneurs. So that definitely helps.
That's nice. All right. Megan, do you want to open the floor to anybody who has any questions?
Thanks, you guys. I really appreciated the conversation. It was really interesting, Turner, to hear about you and your path, and just it's a love story. It's a business, adventure. It's a lot of different things. It's very, very cool. And actually, Matt, to answer your question, you did a wonderful job at fielding all of the questions. I think you asked just about every single one. I think the last one that I see here that went unanswered was, do you have internship, from Amanda? Turner, do you have internship opportunities for USD students in the area?
We haven't ever considered it, but yeah, I mean, we'd absolutely be open to it. So you can reach out to any of the email addresses on our website or our chat bot, or to me directly, just at turner@vegetableandbutcher.com or hello@vegetableandbutcher.com. And yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to connect.
Great. And then I have 2 USD questions for you, because it wouldn't be a USD alumni event if I didn't ask them. And so the first is, where is your favorite spot on campus?
Ooh, gosh, I have such fond memories of, what were the sophomore dorms called?
The Vistas.
Yes. Oh man. That such great memories there. And the reflection pool, or the reflection pond, big fan.
Yeah, that seems to be a heavy hitter for a lot of our alumni. We've also gotten a lot of, for some of our younger alumni, when the SLP officially, was created. A lot of people say the SLP, but they're always afraid to say that because they think it's a weird thing. And I go, we have some of the best food in the country. Why is that such a weird thing to mention? And the last question, and I know you could probably have a lot, but what is your favorite memory of USD?
Oh man. Gosh, I mean, living at the beach, like just generally living in the Mission Beach area and getting to play sand volleyball with friends, like sand volleyball and surf.
Yeah, you can't do that at a lot of different colleges around the country, but you can at USD.
Yeah, definitely not.
Well, cool. Thank you guys so much. Turner, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
It truly was.
Matt.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And I loved learning about your business. I'm so inspired that you've started this business first. And like I said, as you have the courage to do it, but then the positive leadership I see in it. And then also just kind of living by your principles, your values and principles. It's just inspiring to see new businesses starting like that. So I look forward to your future success. And I will say, you lucked out, because if Karen was asking you the questions, my wife, she would have been much more, it's like a cross-examination. She would have gotten much tougher and would have found out a lot more about Ariane and so you're lucky that I was just giving you softball questions.
I appreciate all the softballs.
Well, thanks you guys. We really appreciate it. And to everyone who logged in today, thank you so much. For those who will be watching this at a later time, because it is recorded, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you can join us live at the next event. And then for those who logged in live, don't forget that you get a 15% discount code on your first order. So I'll go ahead and send that all to you so you guys can reap the benefits of Vegetable and Butcher. And if you would like to learn more about the Alumni Association, the Washington, D.C. Torero Club, and other programs to be involved with during this time, during COVID or even after, please email me at meorourke@sandiego.edu. All right. Thanks,
Sounds
everyone.
good.
Have a great rest of your night, and we'll all see you soon.